So my journey began about just over 6 years ago on the farm where I grew up. Well, actually, that was more than 6 years ago. That was more like 20 years ago, and I never knew the journey that I wanted for myself. Grew up with a family that didn't have much financially, didn't know really how to take care of myself in that sense. Always had this negative thing about money and finances, that whole religious thing about I don't care about money isn't worth anything, you should hate money, because it's a bad thing. And then it puts you in this position where you have no fucking idea how to become wealthy. It never resonated with me to not have enough. I always wanted to have more, but never understood how to gain it. If you are like that, throw a 1 in the comment. But if you always knew what wealth is and how to attain it, throw a 2 in the comment. It would be nice to see what you guys think. Great to see everybody on here today talking about consciousness and the nature of reality. I'll throw in some tidbits about religion and why it's there and how we can free ourselves from it if that's something you would like to do. So my story began in Nelspruit, where I for the first time in my life used mind-altering substances, took some magic mushrooms. If anyone here ever used magic mushrooms, throw a yes me in the comments. Let's see who has used that before. If anybody wishes to join in, and let's see what you all have to say. Great to see everybody here. So when I had this experience, my entire life changed. For the first time I saw what it was to be high on anything. Up to that stage in my life I've never even drank alcohol. I had this huge thing regarding alcohol, staying away from it because I believed it was bad, one of the advantages of being in a religion. But that day when I used that magic mushrooms, it completely changed my life. Seeing what it's like to be source, knowing what consciousness is for the very first time, learning about expansion and to truly expand and to feel what it feels like to have that eternal true love in your life. In religion they talk a lot about how we should love unconditionally, but they don't really tell us what that unconditional love truly is. You hear about it, it gets preached all over, like you have to love unconditionally, you've got this love and that love, but nobody ever tells you and shows you how it truly works, because it's always conditional. If you know what I'm talking about, throw a 1 in the comment. If you have never had that experience of true unconditional love, there's always this condition. If you do this, there will be love. If you do that, there will be love. Even religion, they say, follow this path and then you'll have unconditional love. But love is unconditional, that kind of weird, crazy stuff that's going on in that paradigm, in that reality that we put ourselves into, which is not a bad thing. But that day I for the first time experienced what it truly is to be love, not just to experience it, but to become that which is perfect, that which is everything. But that also opened me to this whole new reality of the shadow plane, the darkness, what we thought is evil. By that time in my life I still believe that there is good and there is evil. If you believe there is a definite right and wrong, throw a me in the comment. Let's see where you're at this moment in your life. I was there as well. I truly believe that there was genuine good and there was genuine bad, or good and evil. So all my experiences that I had in my life was tailored on this concept of there is a definite good and a definite evil. So you experience everything that you do in this duality, as we are living in this reality of duality, which is a beautiful thing. If you understand how it works, and to become a master of your own energy, you have to understand how to juggle this duality of what is seemingly good and seemingly bad, seemingly right and seemingly wrong. So I went down this rabbit hole like Alice in Wonderland, diving into my own consciousness. And when I was diving into my consciousness, all these things started stirring, all these triggers. I had all these conscious belief systems, or how I like to call it, our systems of consciousness, that is creating my reality in my background, in the background, as with each one of us. Our belief systems create our reality. That is their job. That is their sole purpose, to create a reality. And that's not necessarily their life that you love, a reality that you love. Some of these systems are created to self-sabotage. Some are there for procrastination, or whatever their purpose is, to keep you alive. For all our belief systems, primary objective is to keep us alive at all costs. And all my systems had this crazy ways of trying to keep me alive, and I had no idea what was going on in my life. I was just spiraling out of control, riding this wave of the awakening. I don't know if you guys remember how insane it was early 2020, end of 2019 with COVID, when the grand awakening, as people call it, started to happen. If you also were one of those people that started expanding when the grand awakening happened, throw one in the comment. Let's see who also went through it in the same time. To me, it was a huge shift of consciousness to, for the first time, expand beyond my religion and beyond the little box that I grew up in. It was very, very, very extreme to be in that position, to not know what's next, to have all these questions and all this thoughts that's going through your mind, but you have no answers and nobody to guide you, because you're kind of alone in the process, or you felt alone, but there were so many people there that helped you. So in any case, I started using psychedelics like a lot. I said, this is something that's helping me, it's expanding my consciousness, I want to dive into this and see where it takes me, because I want to be whole. The dream that I have for my life is to be whole. I'm sure all of you have that same dream of, I want to be truly whole in myself. I want to be the master of my own energy. I want to know myself, and I want to live a life that I truly love. So as I went on this journey, a couple of years down the road, I lost my job because I couldn't stay in that 3D job anymore. So for those of you that are on this conscious journey of remembrance, expansion and awakening, and you're still keeping your job, well done, shout out to you. I was one of those people that couldn't stay in that job because it was just too intense, too many things happening in my consciousness. For the first time I started feeling what it is like to feel my emotions again as a man, growing up in that paradigm that cowboys don't cry, men should be hard and tough. If you're a man and you grew up in that same way, throw one in the comment. It'd be nice to see how you guys grow up. Let's talk a bit. It's nice to see all of you here today. So we're talking about consciousness, religion, and the nature of reality. So my reality really started spiraling out. I knew that there was so much more. For the first time I started believing in things like extraterrestrials and multiple realities and freaking all these crazy things. I started seeing people that truly believes in flat earth and the holographic earth and the inner earth theories. And even in one of my journeys I had this experience where I saw a planet that was completely different than ours, where we live on the outside. That planet was the exact opposite, and the people were living on the inside, and in the center of this planet was a central AI hub that controlled this entire reality. That was freaking cool to observe. But in any case, I came to this point in my life where everything just started falling apart, and I asked the universe, help me. We have this inside joke of calling the universe Gus, our guides to the universe, and our higher self say, Gus, please help me. I don't know what the fuck's going on in my life. Everything is falling apart. I'm using all this medicine, trying to find my own path, find myself, but the more psychedelics I used, the deeper I dove into the world of the medicine and further into consciousness, the more it felt to me like my life is falling apart, because all the shadow parts of me is coming out, presenting, and in the most nasty ways, triggering my partner, she triggering me, friends, and everybody in my life. It's just this huge mess of triggers. But I didn't find the answer that I was looking for, and I really felt like I'm in this hole in my life where how the heck am I going to get out of there? And while I was on this journeying with the psychedelics, I came to this place in my life where the medicine told me, you know what, we can't heal you. I'm like, holy shit. If medicine can't heal me, how am I supposed to get there? How am I supposed to get from where I am to that beautiful dream that I have in my life? I'm sure all of you also have a dream of where you want to be in this life, and maybe you're living that dream. If you are living your dream, well done, that's amazing. But I know a lot of us out there aren't living our dreams, At this very moment, I'm truly living my dream, a life that I love. We sometimes have this perspective of the life we love. We say, I want this specific life, this is how I want to live. And we never open our hearts to the universe to say, you know what, maybe there's a different path for me, maybe there's a better path. And now we get stuck on this one path of saying, but I have to live this specific life, and the universe has to provide for me in this way, and everything that I do fails. Why can't I get to this thing? But there's actually a completely new direction that you can go into to live a life that you truly love. It was the exact same thing to me. I had this idea of becoming a true shaman, wanted to go study in South America or wherever I could find a proper shaman to train me, hoping that the medicine would help me. This thing is scratching today. But I never had even the slightest idea of what I would be doing today, living a life that I truly love, being able to travel and to sit here any time of the day and just talk to you guys and just love what I do and do what I love. And having that oomph in me, having that expression from my throat chakra to be able to speak my truth clearly. If you would like to speak your truth clearly, stick around and I'll possibly show you a way how to do that. So in any case, when I was in this space of not knowing what the fuck's going on, how am I gonna get through my life? How am I going to reach this goal that I set for myself? Or this dream that I had, I always had this feeling, this inner feeling in my life of I want to be wealthy. I want to live a life of true abundance, of true joy, of true freedom, a space where I don't have to work my ass off every day to get to where I want to be. You look to the rich people, to those who have it all, like, how the heck did they do that? There must be some kind of trick that they are using. There must be some kind of formula they are using to get there. How can I get there? And I asked the universe, please help me. And a couple of years ago, when I was at this point of wanting to commit suicide because life became too much. If you've ever been at that point where life became too much and you just wanted out, throw me in the comment. Or if you're at that point in your life where you feel life is getting too much, throw me a direct message. Let's talk about it. So when I came to this point, I was really begging the universe, please show me a way, because I love life, there's so many pretty things, pretty colors, when you take certain psychedelics, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you ever used any of that, you'll know, but oh my gosh, there is really some amazing colors out there when we start seeing beyond the physical spectrum that our eyes normally see. Then things become real interesting. So I always had this inner desire to experience more, to see more, to be able to experience life in more quality, more oomph, more precision, and love it and do something where I can truly enjoy what I'm doing. And then I met these two amazing people, Pleiadian starseeds, that came across my path, and they showed me this 13 chakra masterclass that they invented to help you master your own energy. I'm like, oh my gosh, this sounds freaking amazing. Let me sign up. Let me invest my time, my energy, my money, my thoughts, my resources. Let me invest all of me. Because this is something we have to understand. When we want to succeed in anything in life, you can maybe invest $5,000, $500, $50, whatever you've got. But if you only invest your money but you don't invest your time, obviously nothing's going to happen. If you only invest your money, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, and you invest your time but you don't put your energy and your thoughts into it, your creative force, it'll still go nowhere. I know that was something I did a lot in my life in the past, not understanding that balance between these 4 pillars that we create in our life to invest in ourselves. Knowing now how to do that was so rewarding and so freeing to see when we play with this balance in life. Living in this world of duality, we always have to find that balance, If you understand this balance in reality, amazing. Going through this awakening journey in our lives, we sometimes miss a lot of things. I know so many people ride this wave of the grand awakening. I am awake now. I woke up to the truth. I can see clearly now. But can you? Can you really? Because if you're truly awake, you should be able to know everything, see everything, and understand everything. That's what it truly means to be awake. If you disagree with me, I would love to know your thoughts about it, but this is something I saw so clearly in a meditation one day. Is to be truly awake, it means to be in such a high frequency where you can connect to everything in any moment and know anything at any moment. That's why we stray away from this concept of saying it's the awakening. It's actually just a journey of remembrance. Because if you look back in your own life, when you started expanding, if you're one of those people that really started expanding your consciousness, you'll realize that all that's happening is you're remembering more of who you are. And the more you remember of who you are, the more there is. And the more you remember, you understand where I'm going with this, it creates the snowball effect of remembrance. And when you break up the word remembrance into remember, taking all the members of your body, of your being, putting them back together, then you become one being again. We came into this life with so much amnesia, that gift of forgetfulness. You can think to yourself how it must feel like if you come into this world and you remember all of your lives. If you remember all the deaths you've ever died. Going through a physical death can be extremely traumatic. And I know who of you have ever experienced that, going through a physical death. If you go through a physical death and you come back, it completely changes your life. I've gone through a couple of those experiences, experiencing what it is to shed this physical form. And then you also realize, death is a complete illusion. If you agree, throw one in the comment. Death is truly an illusion. And when we pass through this veil that we call life, we realize that when you wake up on the other side, this reality becomes of all but a dream. It's like having a very lucid dream, and when you wake up from it in the morning, you're like, oh my gosh, I had this crazy fucking dream. I dreamed I was this and I did this and that thing, and it was so crazy, and I experienced this and that, and it truly changed my life, and I feel different. That's more or less what it is, to go from this to the next experience, which is actually it happens so seamless, it happens so easily to just change from one form to another. So back on track with my story, I met these 2 people and they introduced me to this beautiful course of the 13 chakra masterclass, how to embody your energy fully, how to get out of these cycles of self-sabotage, procrastination, how to get out of a life where we aren't creating what we want to create. You have this vision in mind, but you don't know how the fuck to get there. If you're one of those people, follow the link that I'm sharing here, book a call, and we can talk about it. I can also show you how to master your 13 chakras. We can talk about it, and we can explore in your being, where do you maybe procrastinate, where do you maybe have self-sabotage, why aren't you living that life that you're loving. For me it was a long journey, more than 6 years, when I really started working on myself to get from a space of not having anything in my life, not understanding how to be joyful or abundant, to a place where I could see all these conscious systems, all these belief systems in my life, to create this beautiful life that I love. And it's quite a process, when we start diving into our own consciousness, and we start realizing that each one of us are a conscious creator of our reality. Even if we don't think it, even if we don't feel it, even if you don't see it physically or immediately in your life, even if it's a subconscious thing that happens to most of us, because many people are just reacting to the reality. There's so many people creating, just look at the media, they are creating a lot of BS. And you can either choose to follow that, to react to it, or you can choose to create your own path. You can choose to forge your own path. But knowing how to forge that path, knowing how to take control, how to take that ownership back of your own energy, that's where the tire hits the tar. That's where the proof is in the pudding, to understand how to truly create this life that you love. That can be quite scary sometimes. We see all these things of how you have to live, and you have to say these mantras, and you have to meditate twice a day, and you have to meditate for 20 hours or 10 hours, or you have to breathe like this, you have to sit like that, you have to do this, you have to do that. And every single person has a course saying, if you live in this specific way, if you climb into this box, then you'll arrive, then you'll master your own being, and you'll be exactly who you're supposed to be. Just join my cult, join my religion, join my way of thinking, and you will arrive. You will get where you want to be. All your problems will disappear, or we will teach you how to put them in a box, or you'll find your ultimate healing. FYI, if you truly believe that you need healing, that implies you need to be broken first. If you think of the concept of being a conscious being source, being just a being light. If you are light, if you are spirit, then how can you be truly broken? Because the true essence of who you are as a being is perfection. Nothing can be out of place, nothing can be truly broken. We just create this illusion of brokenness, this illusion of separation. We know that science shows us clearly how everything is always connected. So if we know now by simple science that everything is always connected, there is no separation, then that means that every single part of you is connected to every single part of every single part of every single part of every single part of everything else in this entire cosmos, reality, whatever you want to call it. That means you have that power within you. If you go to some of the religion, just things like in the Christianity, they'll talk about the kingdom of heaven is within, all the power of God that created the universe is within your heart. I'm like, okay, so that means if the power to create all of creation is within you, then it means you have that power as well to create anything with a snap of a finger, like Thanos in the Avengers. We have that same power. You don't even need the freaking crystals. You can just do it. So if you've got that power inherently inside of you, then why do we have this illusion of brokenness? Why do we not live that life that we truly love? Why do our life sometimes feel screwed up and we just can't get to that next step? Why do we feel like nothing is working out in my life, or I'm stuck in this cycle that I just can't get out of? If it's a toxic relationship, narcissistic abuse, maybe you're addicted to psychedelics or alcohol or watching TV or freaking shopping or whatever it is. We always get stuck in some kind of cycle because we want a way out, we want a way forward, but our systems of consciousness don't really understand how to get us there, because they have one goal and one goal alone, and they can't see the rest of the systems or that vision or dream you have. So you need a way of how to get there. And this is something that I learned. If you also want to learn how to do that, just follow my link and we can have a chat and we can see how we can help you. Only if you're willing to invest in yourself fully. That's the other thing, like I said just a while ago. If you're not willing to invest in yourself financially, if you're not willing to invest in yourself emotionally, if you're not willing to invest in yourself with time, rather spending less time on doing whatever habit you have, lying on the couch, looking at the sun or the stars, but truly looking into yourself and saying, well, I've got these systems of consciousness, I've got these beliefs about my reality, maybe I can change it. If you're not willing to invest your energy, say, you know what, I spend a lot of energy on XYZ, but I'm not willing to spend that same energy on myself, you'll never arrive. You'll never get to that beautiful life that you love. You'll end up old and wrinkly and you'll still be chasing that dream. But you can get that dream, you can reach that goal much quicker. It's possible. I had that exact same experience, a couple of years ago, when somebody would have told me that, Jakes, you would be able to reach your dream within a couple of years. You'd be able to live a life that you love, where you don't have to work 5 days a week, 7 hours a day, slaving through a job that a boss screams and yells at you and doesn't appreciate you, and you have to what I would say there's no freaking way, there's no way it's ever possible for me to reach or to attain that kind of dream, even though I would love to, until the day that I started working and embodying my chakras. Now remember, we have to make a clear distinction when it comes to our chakra system. When you go to, let's say, a Reiki master, and no offense to anybody that does Reiki or energy work, but if you just go to somebody to open or align your chakras, you're going to create that shitty life even better. If you want to, tongue twisters, if you want to know why, stick around. It's simple. Think of it like driving a car. If you know how to drive a car, you know that when you get behind the wheel, you have to actually turn the steering wheel so that the wheels can point in the direction that you want to go. And then when you hit the gas pedal, put it in gear. If it's an automatic, you don't have to put it in gear, just put it in drive. And when you hit the gas pedal, you'll actually go off in the direction you want to. But let's say you want to head to the left and you turn the wheels to the right hand side and you hit the gas pedal. Regardless of how hard you hit that gas pedal, you'll never go left, because the steering is pointing in the right side. And that same thing happens with our chakras. If we just open our chakras, if we just clear the energy that is stuck for a very good reason, because of some systems or beliefs that you have in your life to try and protect you, and now you take away the blockages, and that energy of creation flows beautifully and aligned through your chakra system again, then you'll start creating exactly what your systems are designed to, and that might not be that life that you love. So this is one thing we should be careful about, guys. It's something that I did myself. I started, when I began with my journey of remembrance, the first thing I did was activating my chakras, opening my pineal gland so that I can see. But I still had no idea where my ground is. I didn't even understand about the Earth Star chakra and how to anchor and ground myself into this physical dimension, because I had this belief of I have to kill my ego, I have to use psychedelics and experience an ego death, because once you experience an ego death, you will be free from this belief systems, this limiting beliefs of being human, and I will be the spiritual guru, mumbo jumbo bullshit, and that fucked up my life properly until I learned, what? Before I can master my chakras, I first have to master my belief systems. I first have to come to realize what are my systems creating in the background. Have you ever tried taking your phone and opening every single app and trying to use all of those apps simultaneously? If you've never done that, maybe you should try it. Try opening all the apps and use them all simultaneously. You'll soon realize it's freaking impossible, because you'll completely lose track of what app is doing what, and they will crash and overlay. But when you start closing some of those apps and you focus on one at a time and you say, okay, let me learn this specific app, let me see what this app's function is and master that app. And if it's not the app that I want, let me upgrade it, or let me change it, uninstall it, and install the app that I want on my phone, because that will serve the function. I've got this beautiful automation on my phone that opens one specific app every day. It's this new crypto thing that I'm exploring that's still... It went live a couple of months ago and it's only at $0.3, so it's super cheap. So I bought this small automation to open the app, click on the mine button, it's still in the mining phase as well, and then close it again. And it's doing exactly what I wanted to do, but I spent time with it. I programmed it until it started programming exactly what I want. Hey Zara, hey Zara. Hey Zara, beautiful dog. Came to say hi. You come hello say. Hello Zara. So at the end of the day, we have to start getting to know these systems of consciousness. And the way we do that is very simple actually. And if you'd really like to know how to master that systems of consciousness, just follow the link in the comment or go to my profile, my bio, you'll see a link there for my link tree, and schedule your one-on-one initiation call, and we can talk about how you can master your systems, how you can master your chakras and truly create that life that you love. Something that we all want to do, because at the end of the day, we all want to be the masters of our own reality. You don't want to be a slave to someone else's fucking reality. Why not? We're here to be creators. We're here to be free. We're here to enjoy our lives. We're here to live that life that we truly love in a way that we truly desire it, So if you don't take charge of your life, if you don't take charge of your energy, you'll never be able to create that life. You'll always be in that reaction. You'll always be somebody that reacts towards someone else's creation. Now, I'm creating my own reality. I understand my energy. I understand my chakras. So, for instance, if you don't, you will just be a slave to my creation. And you might just be a puppet on my strings. But if you start creating your own reality, you'll be the conscious creator. You'll be co-creating with other co-creators. In any case, all your systems, all that belief systems, that systems of consciousness is always creating your reality. Whether that is creating an abundance of lack, something, Bashar talks about a lot, is we're always abundant. Whether that's abundance of lack, abundance of joy, abundance of freedom, abundance in procrastination, abundance in fuckery, whatever that is, we are always perfectly abundant, because we are these super beings that came to experience this reality, to witness the greatest show on earth, with everything that's happening with the earthquakes and the tornadoes and the freaking volcanoes and everything that's shifting on the planet Earth. You should think to yourself, why is this happening? What's going on Mother Earth? Isn't this the exact thing that was prophesied through the ages of a new age breaking? when you go into the history a little bit of our planet, you'll see that approximately every 2,100 years there's a shift that happens on our planet, and that's something that we're going through again, a cleansing. Look at our technology, look at the expansion, the way people are starting to remember who they are, starting to take back their own energy. In COVID, so many people realized that, holy fuck, I'm not satisfied. I do not prefer this way of life. I want to be home. I want to be with my wife, my kids, my family. I want to build a homestead. I want to be self-sufficient, self-sustaining. I don't want to eat this bullshit that I have to buy in the shops, all these products that I don't even know where it comes from. It's been sprayed with pesticides and all these things that just create dis-ease in our life. And we want ease, we want joy, we want to have fun again. If you've ever went to a festival where everybody's embodying that joy, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you are a festy kind of person and goes to psychedelic festivals, throw one in the comment, let me see who you are. It's always fun to connect with all those lovely peoples. But then we start realizing that life is supposed to be fun. But how can life be fun if our internal systems are still creating all that BS? So many of us have learned, especially when you come through religion, and as I came through Christianity, they teach you that there is God and there is Satan and there is heaven and hell and there's angels and demons, there's right and wrong, and that's the way the cookie is cut. That's it. Anything inside of you that is rebellious and that's not for God is evil, and you have to rip it out of you, and you have to confess and deny and tear it out of yourself, which goes exactly against the nature of consciousness, because consciousness is all that is. And all that is can inherently not be all that is if you have to put something outside of it, because then it's not all that is, right? So this whole idea of God being separate from what is evil, the hell, it's just a parable of explaining the balance between light and shadow, and you cannot have the one without the other. But this whole concept of needing to kill parts of you, imagine if you've got a best friend and you ask this best friend of yours, hey buddy, I would like you to take my car to the car wash and I'll reward you because I just want to take care of my kids. I'm like, okay, cool. Your buddy goes, take your car to the car wash, come back. You're like, thank you, buddy. And tomorrow you do the same thing. Hey, buddy, will you take my car to the car wash? And by the third day, when you pull up, your buddy jumps in the car, takes it to the car wash, brings it back, because he's used to this. And whatever you reward him with, if it's a beer or a hug or whatever, and you appreciate him saying, I love you so much, buddy, thank you so much for doing this. And then one day, when you come home, your buddy takes your car to the car wash, and when he comes back, you're like, fuck you, I hate you, I don't want this, give me back my car. It's like, what the heck is going on? And now, every time your buddy comes out, you're like, Rrr. A couple of months later, you might require the help of that buddy again, right? Because now you're super busy and you're like, hey buddy, you knock on his door and he's not even gonna open the door, right? It's gonna be like, fuck you, man. You didn't want me in your life. You didn't even thank me. Now you want my help again. And now you have to build a new relationship with him again. You have to show him that he can trust you again. Say, you know what, buddy, let me do something for you this time. Let me show you that I'm worthy of your friendship again, of your love again. And that is exactly how our internal systems of consciousness works. They are like our best friend that we denied because we didn't understand their purpose. Maybe their purpose is to self-sabotage because when you were 3 years old, something happened and you needed to sabotage your life to protect yourself. Sometimes we jump in the water and hold our breath because there's a swarm of bees coming over you, and when they're gone we come up for breath again. and it might not be a nice experience, but we do crazy stuff for survival. And now all these systems of consciousness are created to protect us, but we see them as wrong, we see them as bad, we see them as evil, and we perceive them through our perspective that's been given to us by our parents, our friends, our religion, our country, our nationality, our race, our gender. Now there's so many labels that's being added onto us to tell us who we are and what we are, and our poor systems of consciousness, they are drowning here. But now you want to live this life of abundance. You want to live this life of joy, of freedom, where there's no self-sabotage, there's no procrastination, there's only beauty and love and joy and happy feelings and, all these nice things. But those systems are created to do the opposite, because that was the only way they could protect you back in the day. But they have no idea that you want something different now, and you have no idea that they even exist. So now the trick here is to get to know them again, to invite them back, to walk them back home, to walk yourself back home. Something that I learned in my life, when everything went to shit and I was at the end wanting to commit suicide and attempted to, and had a very interesting experience with that, of how reality can shift and bend and shape. That was one of the places where I definitively realized that reality is moldable. It's like a piece of clay. We can mold it to our own will. There's no definite rule, there's no set rule of how reality operates. If you look at all of science, how they can prove anything depending on the perspective, even if you observe something, it can be a particle. If you don't observe it, it's light, and all these weird things, which proves how moldable reality is. So even death is just a state of being, and you can come back and forth. I did that a couple of times, where I would have an experience, you would kill yourself through whatever means, not on purpose, it's just what happens, and then you have this super experience of light and darkness and everything in between, and then you come back and you put your reality back together again. You go into a reality where you're still alive, you continue your life, and you might have this slight remembrance of, hey, but something's different. In my reality, with the 5 or 8 times that I experienced my own death, I have memory of different childhoods. I have a couple of different frames that I remember, and I know that some of those memories that I have are different, and my family remembers one specific set timeline, but I remember different timelines. If you're somebody that remembers 2 or more timelines of your childhood or your recent reality, let me know in the comments. It would be interesting to know what you've experienced. So the whole thing is, our reality is very moldable. And when we understand how our systems of consciousness is creating this reality, we can very soon get to this point of knowing, but wait a minute, if I reprogram my systems, if I invite them to create a life that I love, then maybe I can truly live that life that I truly desire, a life that I truly love. And it's possible. Coming from the background that I came from, being where I was, having lost everything, being super deep in financial debt, almost completely screwing up my relationship with my partner, I never thought that it would be possible to change it all around. I had this vision in my head already of how I'm going to become like a bum under a bridge, having absolutely nothing, because I couldn't see a way forward. And then when I started working with my systems and mastering my chakras, I soon came to a point where my entire reality flipped 180 degrees. It felt literally like walking in one direction, stopping, turning around and walking in a different direction, with a whole new meaning and understanding of life. Then I realized, and for the first time I also saw, how all the skills that I learned in the past is all coming together, how I can use it, how being an empath is actually a great thing. How being able to tap into telepathy, using telepathy in sessions, being somebody that also does energetic tattoo activation sessions, where I can sit with a person for 10 minutes to 2 hour sessions and tapping into the frequency of their tattoos, seeing what energy is stuck in their body, how to reprogram it, how to release that energy, to recycle it, to be renewed, because energy wants to flow. If there's one thing that I learned in this life is how energy always wants to move. And when we become stagnant, when we stop moving, it's either one of two things. Either we are starting to crystallize, becoming solid like a tree, setting our roots, and we start to completely crystallize, or we're in a cocoon where we're going through a metamorphosis to become something new, a new butterfly, And to know the difference can be quite tricky. I understand, not all of us has that sensitivity to know, okay, am I in the cocoon phase? Am I just stagnating because I'm afraid of this or afraid of that? Or is it just my internal systems creating a life that I don't really love, but I'm comfortable in my pain? If you aren't comfortable in your pain, throw one in the comment. Let me know if you are comfortable where you are or not. Let me know if you're happy with where you are in your life or not. Let me know if you want to change. Let me know if you want a better life. If there's this dream that you have, talk to me. And if you don't want to talk to me on the live, you want to talk to me in person, go to my bio, follow the link, schedule a call, let's talk about it. I would love to get to know you guys better. It's nice to see so many of you guys here. We're talking about consciousness, reality, and religion here and there. So if you are a super religious person, this might piss you off, and then get the fuck out of here. It will be better for your sanity and ours. And remember, guys, religion is a great thing for those who requires that kind of expansion or box. We sometimes, or oftentimes, or most of the times actually, we project our own reality, our own thought pattern on other people. We say, but you have to live in this way or in that way, and if you don't, we're mad at each other. We forget about that ultimate love. I love how Bashar also talks about it. If you don't know who Bashar is, go and check on TikTok and YouTube and all the channels. Bashar Talks, extraterrestrial that comes from the future through Daryl Anker, and he talks about a lot of amazing concepts. I really enjoy his humor. He really breaks things down for the general person as well. Something I don't care to do. If you understand what I'm saying, you understand. If you resonate, you resonate. If you don't, well, you'll resonate with somebody eventually. That's how life goes, right? But the thing he says as well is that there is only truth. That's it. Whatever you believe is true for you. So to recreate your reality, the only thing you need to do is get all parts of yourself to truly believe in what you want, and that will become your reality. The tricky part is realizing what parts of you has resistance towards that life. I know in my life I had an incredible resistance towards financial wealth. Growing up the way I grew up, I truly believe that money is the root of all evil. I don't know if you grew up like that. I truly believed it was evil, it was a bad thing. So naturally, I pushed all financial wealth away from me. Whenever there's finances coming in, you would push it away and you would be super broke. I was a poor person because my mindset was poor. I hated and disliked a part of myself, which is the exact opposite of truly embodying yourself, truly embodying your highest excitement, truly embodying true consciousness and Christ consciousness. When Jesus walked the earth, he didn't bring a message of I am somebody you should praise and you must make a religion around me. He came to be the way maker, to show us a different way, to birth a new consciousness of being our own Christ. So yes, the Christ is coming back in each and every one of us, sparking that spark of remembrance, of knowing, but I am divine. I am my own savior. I don't need to wait for somebody else to save me. The only trick is to learn how to do that, and how to do that can be tricky, I know. If you know how to do that for yourself, fantastic. If you don't, maybe choose to speak to somebody that you resonate with that can help you, because we all need it, you know. I thought that I could do everything on my own, get to where I want to be on my own accord, but I couldn't. I just couldn't. Everything just started falling apart. The more I tried to do everything on my own, the more it fell apart. And somewhere along the journey I realized that, oh my gosh, this is why we came to this planet as a collective to help one another. You know, this is a self-help. If you don't know what I'm talking about with the self-help, send me a direct message and I'll explain to you what I mean with it, because there's only one thing, and that is consciousness. For this is my reality and I choose the way it is. A little mantra that I picked up from the Kabbalion when you learn about the 7 Hermetic principles and how that influences, and that is the base of all religion, by the way. If you go and study the 7 Hermetic principles, you'll see that all religion comes from that and the Anu, or the Anunnaki, which simply translates to those who came from the stars. It wasn't just one race, it was a whole bunch of races that came and created man to do their work, and they took our DNA and made it from the 12 strand, they took it down to 2 strands, so that we are just clever enough to do the work they want us to do, but not clever enough to realize that we are our own conscious creators. So now we sit in this dilemma of being here for thousands of years, thinking that the Anu was the gods, created all these religions. That doesn't work, because you have to serve this master that sits on a throne. If you do all the good deeds, you'll be rewarded. You have to pay a subscription to be in the religion. If you don't pay your subscription, you're a bad fucking person, you know. And if you fuck up just once, too big. You know, there's certain, I remember in the Christian Bible, there's a couple of sins that they said, if you do this or if you do that, you'll never be forgiven, not in this life and in the next, I don't know how many generations, you know, you're doomed for eternity. Like, holy shit, that's a crazy religion, you know, who the hell wants to live by those kind of rules? Until you realize, but you know what, Christ is within me. I don't need to live by the rules of some maniac that decided, but this is how it is, you know. And I'm not saying religion is bad, hear me out, you know. There's some beautiful things, there's a lot of beautiful truths that I learned through religion myself, knowing of how to be a better person, you know. So there is true beauty, you know. There's a lot of things that subtle hints, but that has been changed purposefully to keep you in this fear-based reality. And the big thing is, a lot of us fell into this ego trap of saying, but the reptilians, they created this reality, they enslaved us because they're feeding off our fear, they're evil and bad. Like, well, then you're just the same as the religious people that's saying God created Satan and he rebelled and kicked him out of heaven and now he's in hell, tempting us to do all the bad shit that we do, not taking responsibility for our own actions, and at the end of the day it's just our own guilt that holds us there. And when we die, we all go through a hell of a sort. We atone for everything that we believe we need to atone for. That doesn't mean we have to atone for stuff. It's just because we believe we have to, then we atone for as long as we believe we have to, until we don't feel guilty about it, and then we are set free by our own belief systems. No, that's how reality works. So if you don't believe you have ever done anything wrong, and all of you believes that then you'll never suffer. You'll never suffer yourself. We can only suffer our own mind. We can only suffer our own systems, our own consciousness, our own beliefs. We cannot suffer anything else. That's something even Jesus taught. He said you can only suffer yourself. I remember this one book that I read. It's called The Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ, where people were also asking him a bunch of things. And this one specific leader asked him, Master, if I should come to you and ask you what should I study, what would you answer? And he said, I would answer yourself. And if you have thoroughly studied yourself and you should come back to me and ask me again, Master, what should I study? I would simply reply again, yourself. I hope this makes sense. So the more you study yourself, the more you get to know yourself, the more you become that master of your own energy, your own cosmic shaman, your own savior, your own Christ consciousness, your own commander of your starship. Whatever it is you want to embody and how you want to embody it. Why do you think there's so many things out there that tries to take that power away from us and put it into something external? There's this God over there in that reality that sits on a throne, and only He can save you, and you have to pray through this thing and through that bloody thing and through this. You have to eat this guy's flesh and you have to drink that guy's blood and you have to sing in a certain way and speak in a different way. You have to dance like this and wear these clothes and do those things, and only then you'll arrive. Taking all your power away from you. Because they know when you realize that you are the ultimate power, then all those systems will crumble down and nothing will be left. Does that make sense? Do you want to be your own creator? Do you want to be that person that is in control of your reality? Do you want to go from stagnation to activation? Do you want to free yourself from the change that you put on yourself? Do you want to know how to do that? Do you want that knowledge again? To go from zero to your own hero again? If that is you, go to my bio, follow the link, schedule a call, let's talk, let's see if I could possibly help you master your own energy again, become your own master. Because there is something that will resonate with each one of us. Some of us will resonate with one thing and some of us with a different thing. I know for me that changed my life was the 13 Chakra Masterclass that I enrolled in. Knowing how to become my own master, how to work with my systems of consciousness, how to embody myself fully. That helped me to become who I truly am today. And I can, with a big smile on my face, say that when I invested all of me, all my time, not all my time, but enough time, enough energy, enough thought, enough money, in balance, I could see the results. Now I'm living a life that I love. I do what I love. I can sit here and talk to people and guide them as well to gain that knowledge of how to also live a life they love. So if this is something that truly resonates with you and that you truly want to experience in your life, you can follow this link in the comments and schedule a call with me, and let's see if I can help you. If it doesn't resonate with you, hope you just enjoyed the chatter. See you again on the next live. I'm going to sign off now. I have some other things to do. It was fun to talk to you guys. For those that stuck around, great job, and I hope to see you on the next live. And may all law of life remind you of who you truly are, and may all of creation help you to come back to your own heart, to embody your highest excitement, to know yourself in the highest form of who you can be and who you are. For you are the master of your creation. You are the master of your reality. As am I. Take care, guys. Cheerio. If I can find the stop button, I can maybe stop it. Where do I stop? This is my first time here and now I don't know where's the stop. I'll find it sometime. Let me see, where do I stop this thing? Fun. Let's see, tools. Funny. If somebody know how to get off the live, maybe send me a message. I should see it somewhere. Anybody? Ah, there we go. Okay, found it. Cheers guys, see you next time.